welcome to Flap TV, our first annual Flappie Awards, the best, the worst, and the most outrageous of the political world of 2017. We're going to give you a bunch of categories. Cindy, Michael, and I will have our choices, and then we'll put those nominations out to the group for a vote, so the group can decide who wins these Flappies for 2017. The first one is the rising star of 2017. Who was that, Cindy?
Okay, well, my choice is Kenny Ricker. I think everything that's happened this year, he came through kind of at the last minute to run for mayor of Leominster and pulled off what nobody else has been able to do in 20-something years. So he definitely, his name was out there, his supporters were out there, and he just rose right up to the top and gave Dean a run for his money.
Sure did.
And so that's my choice.
Without even being on the ballot.
Yeah, exactly.
Michael.
A gentleman whose name I did not know 6 months ago, a guy by the name of Doug Jones, showed that there is still a moderate, common sense Democratic Party in the South that is still alive. And despite Roy Moore's own issues, we're talking, of course, about the Alabama Senate race, despite Mr. Moore's own issues, he still remained a relatively popular figure in the state of Alabama. So for Mr. Jones to basically go in there and take a page out of the Bill Clinton book and not sound too liberal, sound very middle of the road, appeal to just enough white working class people to basically get himself close to the majority of the votes, well, that was quite an achievement on his part.
Sure was. For years now, the good people of Fitchburg have been jealously looking at their neighbors to the south and saying, boy, I wish we had Dean Mazzarella here in Fitchburg. Well, now they pretty much do. Sam Squalia is certainly a ball of energy. She organized the largest Facebook group in Fitchburg, connecting all of its residents together. She spearheaded the region's first regional dog park, which is actually going to come to fruition. She is on top of everything, organizing everything from citywide yard sales to putting maps together for our Halloween displays and Christmas lights. There's really nothing in this city that she's not involved in and not helping out with. She's everywhere. This year she has won a seat on the Fitchburg City Council, and it was her first try at elective office, and she won big. She brings the passion, the enthusiasm, and yes, sometimes the controversy of Dean Mazzarella to the south, but unlike Dean, she is just starting off, and she is going to be a rising star, and my choice for the 2017 Flappie Award for Rising Star.
Excellent choice.
Thank you. Michael.
Yes.
What was the surprise of the year for 2017?
In my view, that we still have Obamacare. Now, granted, it's on life support, no pun intended, because they got rid of the individual mandate as part of this wham-bam tax bill that they shoved through there. But you know what? Obamacare is still here, despite clear majorities in Congress and a Republican president, a Republican Supreme Court, and 98 million votes that successfully repealed Obamacare when they weren't in power. Well, guess what? Now the Republicans were in power, their bluff was called, and they kind of choked. And so Obamacare is still around and still alive for the time being. As a matter of fact, signups were very respectable if you look at the numbers in terms of enrollees and signups for this year in the federal exchanges and the state exchanges that they're measuring. Still some respectful numbers out there. Yeah, despite them trying, they didn't kill it.
I remember on one of our earlier shows, Cindy predicted that even when they were going through the health care vote, that they would pass tax reform before health care. And Cindy, you were right on that one,
yeah.
Which isn't surprising, because the one thing that Republicans like more than taking things away from poor people is giving things to themselves. So
absolutely.
They took care of themselves very well with this one.
Show me the money.
All right, what was the biggest surprise for you this year?
Flap TV. Oh, definitely. This past year or year and a half, more than that, getting involved in the whole election, we all got really passionate about it, and it's been, polarizing, really, honestly. And so when you guys came up with this Flap TV, it was that perfect time for me. I enjoy it immensely, and it was definitely a surprise, but I love it. I love it.
My surprise of the year and I'll tell you, just when I was starting to get over the shock and the numbness of the Russian coup of our government last year, we have the local elections in Leominster that come up this year, which just out of nowhere, to see a write-in candidate come within that kind of a margin that spurred a recount. I just don't see anyone saw that coming. No. I remember standing in City Hall in the auditorium watching the recount happen, and it was really surreal. I couldn't believe that we were there and that was going on. And it's still tough to believe.
It was like, wow. Who would have ever, 6 months earlier, it wasn't there.
6 days earlier.
Yeah, literally. It was like, wow.
Yeah, so that's my surprise of the year, was the Leominster mayoral election. Michael?
Yeah. Nope, agreed. No, that really did come out of nowhere, and it was just one of those things. Like, it was just, okay, whatever. He'll launch a writing campaign, do okay, pick up a few votes, pick up 35% of the vote. Good showing, whatever. But, geez, I mean, who would have thought that what it turned into?
So, what's your surprise of the year?
My surprise, I said it, Obamacare. So we're on to number 3, profiles and coverage.
Did you do yours?
Right. I did.
We all did ours on that one?
Yeah, I guess so.
All right.
I guess so.
Profiles and courage. Michael.
Well, our former guest here on Flap TV, Elizabeth Ricci Blair, she took on the longest serving elected official in Leominster, and she won the marijuana moratorium that Councilor Frieda was trying to get through the city council, and was about this close to successfully getting it over the hump. She came in and basically did what she needed to do, coughed up a little bit of dough from what I remember in terms of for applying for the zoning change or something. There was like a fee that she had to advance and everything, going to the meetings, really fighting back, and got the city council literally to reverse itself, and so we don't have this moratorium anymore on the marijuana, which really would have gone against the will of the people. And so I give Elizabeth the award, even though she's she's a great advocate and she's a great fighter. Just ask her, she'll tell you. But not to give her a big head, but I give credit where it's due.
That vote passed by an 8-0 vote, and then Elizabeth stepped forward and was able to kill it. I never saw anything like that on the local level.
No, definitely not, and she deserves kudos for that.
Profile and courage.
I'm going to say the Silence Breakers, the original Silence Breakers that came out. I know there's been a few that have jumped out and, they're questionable, but there was a lot of them that they were real. These people, these women, mostly women, have been dealing with this for many, many years and been intimidated and bullied into silence, and they've had enough. And they came forward and they broke it open. It's wide open now, and let the chips fall where they may, but I give them kudos for doing that.
Very good. My profile in courage goes to the 5 Leominster City Councilors that voted for the fiscal year 2018 municipal budget. There was tremendous pressure on them to vote against it. There was organized efforts, protests, but these city councilors understood the ramifications of not passing a budget. They understood how the city charter works, that they could not add money to a budget, and that even if they cut it, it would only be recommendations on where to cut line items. They knew what would happen to the city, to the possibility of the bond ratings, and having to go on a 1/12 budget, and the hardship that would cause. And they stood up and they did the right thing in an election year against enormous pressure. Those 5 Leominster City Councilors that voted for the budget get my Profiles in Courage award.
Most definitely.
Profiles in Cowardice.
Congress for refusing to work with the president to get anything done. This happened with Obama, and it was wrong. For 8 years, there was so much resistance, and they just didn't want to get anything through because it might make him look good. And now the other side's doing the same thing. Nothing was learned from that. So nobody took the high road, Republicans or Democrats, on that. And the constant fighting, they have forgotten that they are there for us, the people. We pay them, and we expect them to get something done. You're not always going to agree, but you gotta find a way to work together and get things done for the good of the country.
That's great, except it's not, but it's not both sides. The same side that obstructed Obama is the same side that's
It's still
obstructing.
Congress.
I wouldn't say nothing was learned
Republican
from it. I think
Congress.
everything was learned from it. The Democrats learned that you can obstruct and be jerks, and you can still pick up seats in Congress, because the Republicans did when they obstructed. So
Yeah.
I'm
Shame
going,
on us
my
for
my
going
profiles
back-
in cowardice is going to the legislative body, but on the state level rather than the federal level, and that's for their bump stock ban that they passed after the latest mass shooting. I mean, give me a break. These Massachusetts legislators always have to be first. They want to grab the headlines, and in doing so, they rush through this horrible bill that wasn't well thought out. The House passed a bill that actually would make it a felony and could put you in jail with a life imprisonment for something that could be interpreted as cleaning your weapon, cleaning and lubing
without
your
the
weapon.
clarification,
It was
for
absolutely
sure.
horrible. Then it went to
Yeah.
the Senate and it got a little bit better. Came out of conference committee. The rest of the country understands the ATF is going to deal with this. The people who know about guns, the people who understand how they work and how regulations work, the ATF is going to handle this on a federal level. But these showboats on the state level in Massachusetts always has to be first at everything, and they churned out some garbage legislation. Michael.
Well, I hate to still pick on the legislature here, but specifically the Republican state legislators, talk about profiles in cowardice. They the ones who voted against the pay raise that they knew would pass, and then they took it. Okay, so let me explain to you how this works. Okay, the Republicans in the state legislature know that the votes are there to pass the pay raise that was passed soon after the elections. They knew the votes were there, and they know they're in the extreme minority, less than a quarter of the seats in the legislature. So they just say, hey, look, let's all vote against it. That way, we have these nice leaflets and materials that we can put on there. So-and-so Democrat did this, and we did this, and we're heroes, and all that other sort of thing. They look like heroes. They vote against it. They know it's going to pass anyway. They know they're going to get the money anyway. Now you say, hey, Mike, you're being skeptical. Maybe they really thought that way. Maybe they really were against the pay raise. Hey, the Republicans are the fiscally responsible party after all. Well, here's the problem with that. They took the pay raise. They all took the pay raise. If they were so against it, our anti-tax people always like to say, well, if you're against the tax cut, don't take it. Well, you know what? I say the same thing on their pay raise. Every single one. Bob Lyons, oh my God, the last name is appropriate for this guy. This guy is a creep. I'm sorry, okay? One of the biggest blowhards in the state legislature, that did this, that, and the other thing. He pocketed it. Of course he did. Hypocrites, all of them.
The only legislator that voted against it, that didn't take it, was a Democrat, Ann Goby.
Yes. My representative.
Very good.
Yeah. Very pleased with that.
Did we all go on that one? Profiles of cowardice?
Yeah.
All right, so we move on to Stroke of Genius Award. Cindy, who's Stroke of Genius Award for 2017?
I know you're going to get me on this one, but I have to say it. Trump's use of Twitter. Now, I know sometimes that he comes out and he says he does some of the most bonehead things. However, no, there's no alcohol in there.
Oh, okay.
But, 2/3 of voters in this day and age are on social media. And Trump knew that, and the media, he just bypassed them and went straight to the people. And people soaked it up. And, right or wrong, and I know he says some stupid things. I cringe sometimes when he starts tweeting. I wish he wouldn't do it because, I think he's got some good ideas, but just shut your mouth when you're thinking. Yeah. Wait a day before you say what you're thinking. So, but I think the fact that he went right to the people and he's got his message across, it clearly worked. Yeah.
37% approval rating. What a genius. Michael.
Ken Ricker campaign. Look, I'm not saying that I necessarily think it was a particular, you could say, you could criticize the move, but in terms of it being a sound surprise campaign strategy, it worked. That write-in campaign, write-ins don't work. Why bother a write-in campaign? The way he did it, that last-minute thing, not giving the Mazzarella camp time to formulate a plan, okay, for debates to be laid down, okay, just surprise, wham, just ride that wave of discontent with the funding, with the schools and whatnot. And so if he had run a traditional campaign, he would have finished just like the other successful challengers against Dean Mazzarella and got in the 35-40% of the vote. But you know what? He came literally within 200 votes. Was it 200 was the margin?
106.
106, excuse me,
votes.
106 votes of actually unseating the longest tenured mayor in Massachusetts, primarily because of this, lack of a better word, sneak campaign.
My friend Michael and I text a lot offline outside of the group, and earlier this year I got a text from Michael saying, what would you think about doing a show based on the group on local access TV? And from that, Flap TV was born, and I think we've all had a great time with it. We've had politicians on, we've had regular voters on, giving them just another platform that they can express their opinion and have their voices heard. My award, the 2017 Flappie for Stroke of Genius Award, goes to Michael Delamonica.
Well, thank you
I second that for sure.
Thank you so much. And I say within 8 minutes of me suggesting that, these signs were ordered and mugs, and gosh darn it, you just took that ball and you ran with it, Kevin. So.
But it was so exciting. How could you not? It was a brilliant idea. It really was. And it's been good.
So let's move on to Bonehead Move of the Year. Michael.
Oh, jeez. Senator Susan Collins in Maine. You know, you've been around a long time, Susan. What are you thinking? So, you know, you follow Ms. Collins. Now, she's one of the moderate Republicans, well, probably one of the only moderate Republicans left in the U.S. Senate. And as a matter of fact, her vote to keep Obamacare was, or to vote against this, that cockamamie health care thing that they were trying to pass earlier in the year. Well, that's one of the primary reasons it got stopped. But she signed on to this wealthy folks tax giveaway and did it without batting an eyelash. Even Bob Corker said, I'm going to vote against it. Well, now I'll vote for it. Well, at least he wavered a little bit. No, right from the get-go. And when she was interviewed and asked, well, why did you do that, Susan? Usually you're pretty moderate. Why do you vote for this conservative tax plan? Well, because the senior members of Congress promised me that they would restore some health care funding and restore some child health care credits. And she was asked, okay, well, so where's the pending legislation? Oh, well, we don't have that yet. Okay, well, do you have a commitment in writing? Well, no, but they told me. Well, gee, Susan, so you took their word for it. How noble of you. Well, guess what happened when Paul Ryan was asked about it like a day later? Oh, I don't know anything about it. Good old Eddie Haskell, Paul Ryan strikes again. He could barely contain his glee with his little smirk when he said, hey, we got one over on old Susie Q. Well, guess what, Susan? Good thing you're not up for re-election in 2018 or you'd be out on your tail. You got until 2020 to grovel to the folks of Maine and explain why it is you screwed up.
Cindy, Bonehead Move of the Year.
All right, it was really hard to choose actually because there's been so many different things. But one thing that keeps coming to my mind was Kathy Griffin's photo of Trump's severed head. This woman has just completely lost all relevance whatsoever and thought that she was going to make this wonderful scene and everybody was just going to be like, oh, isn't that funny? And she blew herself out of a career, what career she had left. And then she cried afterwards saying that he broke her because she did it and then she blamed it on him. And she kind of reminded me of Hillary. And it's like, just go away, Kathy. You made your point.
Bonehead Move of the Year, Leominster School Committee. They slipped in at the end of the year with their Bonehead Move of the Year. They tried to put together a censure motion to say that the mayor was bullying and intimidating, and in doing so, they did it as a sneak attack, didn't put it on the agenda, and it came across as an ambush. They came across doing the thing that they had accused him of. In doing so, they apparently violated the open meeting law. Complaints were filed. They had to walk the thing back, and just this past week it was withdrawn. They lost a lot of credibility. Hopefully they can get some back moving forward in 2018 on a fresh slate, but that was certainly, for me, the Bonehead Move of the Year. Who was the best politician of the year, Michael?
Oh, hands down, Charlie Baker. I don't agree with everything the guy does, or says, but geez, you got to hand it to him. He's really gone across partisan divides, and he appeals to a lot of people. He's gonna walk in there when he goes up for re-election, similar to what Bill Weld did after his first term, beat the Democratic candidate like 75-25. Baker may surpass that.
No question. I love Charlie Baker. Cindy?
I love Charlie Baker too, and I would have chosen him, but I couldn't because Michael already had him. So, but I'm going to say Rand Paul because Rand, his philosophies are similar to mine. We like smaller government. We just don't want the government nickel and diming us to death, and that's what they've been doing. So even when he was working on the tax reform, he was adamant that he wanted to make sure that the middle class got a tax credit, which is what was promised. And he went against the Republicans several times until he got it, until he got what he felt like he could at least agree upon. And I appreciate politicians like that do try to rein in government, and not too many of them that do it. And but he's done it, and I appreciate it.
Best politician of 2017 is Justin Trudeau, the new leader of the free world. Enough already, Cindy.
Well,
enough.
let's
We got to get through it.
I just got to mention. I mean, just this past week, he had to apologize for his major ethics violation. So when you talk about Justin Trudeau, why don't you do a little Google search on that one?
Fake news. Enough already.
Okay. Enough already. GoFundMe pages.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, oh my God, they're everywhere. First, it came out when for emergencies, somebody had a house fire, somebody died or something. Now it's like you want us to pay for your honeymoon, your wedding, your kid needs a car.
New
enough.
store. Yeah.
Enough.
Yeah.
Let's stop with the GoFundMe.
Next year, probably health insurance.
Yeah.
Michael, enough already.
All right. Marissa Fleming, Beth Walsh, I love you guys, but oh, good God, all these pictures with the mayor. Yeah, we get it. You're aligned with Mayor DiNatale. There's no network in Fitchburg, but we still see the same 5 or 6 people all together in the same pictures during the campaign. Oh my goodness! Every time you saw Steve, you saw Marissa and Beth popping up right next to him. But I hope it's a harbinger of things. Do you like that word? Nice big word.
Yeah,
harbinger.
I like
hope
that.
It's a harbinger of things to come. That they can all cooperate together and move Fitchburg forward. But geez, I got kind of tired of the photo ops, I gotta say.
I don't mind there being a good old boys network, but just admit it. Don't deny it and then do the photo ops all the time. My enough already is along those same lines, but it goes to Sheriff Lou and Karen Polito. My God, with the nonstop photo ops. Do these people do any real work, or do they take their state paycheck every week and run around the state campaigning with their fake checks that they're giving out for grants? Put a 42-cent stamp on the check, put it in the mail, and if you have nothing else to do, if you don't have any real work to do, go to a homeless shelter, go to a veteran center and volunteer, and don't take any cameras with you. Okay, that's how you be a real hero.
The single funniest line you've ever said, I cannot repeat it for TV regarding along the same lines. I'm still laughing at that one at this day. I'll say it off the air. It's not safe for TV.
Cindy, biggest winner of 2017?
Anyone with a 401k or stocks. The stock market's incredible, and a lot of people are making money right now.
Michael, biggest winner?
Social conservatives, the social conservative wing of the Republican Party. Hey, you guys run everything now. Congratulations. You got a puppet to do your bidding for you. Well, now see what you can do with it.
Biggest winner, late night comedians. You can't get any easier material than what's been coming out of the White House in 2017 for late night comedians. Biggest loser, Michael.
Oh, the Bernie or bust crowd. Oh, we heard in 2016 how, both parties are the same. Hillary is an evil corporatist. Okay, want to run down the list of things that Hillary Clinton wouldn't have done, Bernie, folks? Well, let's see. She wouldn't have sabotaged Obamacare, which is still better, not as good as single payer for you guys, but certainly better than what we're going to be left with. She wouldn't have passed this horrendous tax reform. She would have laughed at that if that was put on her desk. She wouldn't have appointed a Scalia replacement to replace Scalia on the Supreme Court. She would have appointed a Stephen Breyer, moderate Democrat type. That's not good enough for you guys. You want all or nothing, don't you? Well, guess what? You get nothing.
Cindy.
Which one are we on?
Biggest loser.
Biggest loser. Oh, mainstream media, for sure. Because there's been so many stories that have been retracted this year. They've lost credibility, and nobody knows what to believe anymore.
Biggest loser is America's standing in the world right now. The rest of the world and the leaders don't take us seriously right now. And it's because we have a man-child at the helm who does not know anything about world affairs. He's inept at accomplishing anything, has no negotiating skills, and is only occupying the White House because of a fluke in an antiquated electoral system. The rest of the world knows he's governing without the consent of the majority, having lost by over 3 million votes to his opponent. He is not seen as legitimate, and for good reason. But if one thing America has shown us, whether it be slavery, women's suffrage, prohibition, or Vietnam, we do make mistakes sometimes, big ones, but we are resilient. There's always an election around the corner and new leaders willing to take the helm. So we will be back on top soon enough. Biggest hypocrite of the year, Michael?
You mean the big prediction for 2018?
Big prediction.
This is one I hope does not come true. Speaking of the Supreme Court.
No, hold on. We go to biggest hypocrite first.
Yep.
Oh, that's right. We switched it. My apologies.
Okay.
That's my apology. Sue Shelf, who's Zephyr. I mean, here you are. All right, I'm running for city council. Oh, no, I'm not running for city councilor. Oh, yeah, I'm going to write a letter to the Sentinel. Please don't vote for me. Please don't endorse me. I don't want to run. I don't want this. Oh, wait, I won along with the other guy? All right, well, I'm going to throw the other guy under the bus now. I'm going to take the seat. Well, just make up your mind.
Biggest hypocrite of 2017, Cindy?
Matt Lauer. He did an interview with Bill O'Reilly not too long ago. Both of them clearly are dogs. But it was just funny because Matt thought he was going to call out Bill O'Reilly, made a big stink and asked him all these questions, and it turned out that he did the same thing. So there you go. Pot calling kettle black.
Biggest hypocrite of the year are religious conservatives in this country. Last year, they embraced someone who willingly admits that it was a sexual predator. We all heard the tape. Been married multiple times for money. Adulterer. This year, they took it a step further and embraced basically a pedophile down in Alabama. So they're putting aside their principles in terms of partisanship. Social conservatives, religious conservatives can no longer claim the high ground, the moral high ground. They lost that forever by embracing the one that's in the White House now and the one who ran for Senate in Alabama. What's your big prediction for 2018?
Immigration reform.
It's going to go through?
Yeah, I think so. It has to. They have to address it.
Very good. Michael, big prediction for 2018?
Very specific one for me. I hope it doesn't come true. Keeping in mind Trump's vengefulness. Ruth Ginsburg, really, really old Supreme Court justice, is going to pass away. And instead of appointing a liberal or a moderate to take her place, he is going to do the biggest FU to everyone involved and appoint the biggest right-wing social conservative that he can find to totally swing the court the other way. Hope it doesn't happen, but hey, I'm a pessimist at heart.
My biggest prediction for 2018, the Democrats retake the United States Senate in the midterm elections. That is going to be my prediction, and that is going to wrap up all of our categories for the 2017 Flappies. We'll put them out to the group, all these nominations, and have the group
Tell
vote
us
on
what
them.
You think.
Absolutely. It's been this is our last show of the year. Any thoughts, Michael?
This was I think we've been really brought up to speed. I know when I had my previous show, it really took a while for me to sort of get into the tune of things. I'd say by the second or third show, we really had it down. And the production quality of this show, thanks to mostly to the people you don't see back there in the control room with their dedication, I mean, is really second to none. I mean, we've really put out a great product. I'm just happy.
Really happy. Even in our first year, we've had both mayors, both state representatives, our state senator.
Quite a few reps.
Quite a few reps. I have Congressman McGovern is coming on January 26th. But some of my favorite shows are the ones with the average, ordinary voters
I agree.
From our group that can come out and make their voices heard.
Absolutely.
Cindy, your thoughts about our first year?
I think it went great. I love it. I really love it. I love, like you said, I like having people you meet. You talk to them all the time on Facebook, but you don't really, you argue back and forth and debate, and then they come in here and you meet them, and they get a voice. They get to say what they're thinking because we hear them on the page. So
and the real heroes of this show, Robin Como, Brian Butler, behind the scenes. This show could not happen without them.
A doubt.
Thank you. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year from all of us at Flap TV.
Happy holidays.